This is a 1996 Aston Martin Virage Volante 6.3 works service package, except it's actually a 5.3, but still called a 6.3. We'll go into that in a minute, don't worry. Today's video is going to be a walk around because some cars it's just not practical to take out because it's dirty, it's busy on the road, it's worth £135,000 and my insurance just won't cover it. So today we're going to be looking around this rather exquisite and very rare, very original Aston Martin. This is a car so exclusive and so posh. Today I had to wear tweed for this review. Now, the hand-built aluminium-bodied Virage was revealed to the world at the 1988 Birmingham Motor Show, the NEC. It doesn't get posher than the NEC, does it? Now, the Volante, or convertible in poor person speak, was launched 2 years later, again at the NEC, and it's a 2+2 body, so you can just about squeeze two tiny people in the back of it. It's still hand-built, still aluminium, but in regular form, it's narrow-bodied, much smaller, much more discreet, kind of, yeah, quite a casual affair, really. But even in standard form, it's Aston Martin's hand-built flagship model, and when the DB7 was launched, that was very much an entry-level, budget Aston. Even though the V12 version of the DB7 could outperform this, it didn't have that same cachet of exclusivity. In fact, only 1,050 ever made in any form of these things. But if that wasn't exclusive and posh and different enough for you, in 1992 Aston Martin also brought out an even more exclusive, more hand-built, more special version of the car called the Works Service Package, and that gave you a number of things. Some of it was cosmetic, a lot of it was under the bonnet. On the outside, it's clearly a wider body. Massively flared wings, or fenders if you're in America, stretch out over these vast split rim 18-inch OZ or Oz. They're only 18-inch, but they are just steamroller wide. Of course, you also get the much deeper sills. You get the different bumper, different grille, much bigger, deeper air dam, all this different styling around the front. Far more aggressive, far more imposing. Much posherer. Down the back of the car, these are still only 18-inch wheels, but they are 285 Z45, and they are just tremendously big. But the big news for most of these cars was the 6.3 conversion. Now, a big part of this conversion package was the engine. They took the standard 5.3 litre quad cam 4-valve engine, or 4-valve per cylinder engine, take it from 5.3 litres, stroke it, bore it, give it Callaway designed head, better fuel injection, and it would make 500 horsepower and 480 foot-pound of torque. Now, unfortunately, that conversion wasn't certified for America, and they wanted to sell these cars in America. So they offered it as an option to keep the 5.3 litre, so you could have the Works Package cosmetic look, but with a standard 5.3 litre, which is what we have here, which makes a mere 330 horsepower and 364 foot-pound of torque. It also means it'll only do 158 rather than 175. But bearing in mind, this car weighs around 2 tonnes. Now, the figures I found for the weight was 1,790 kilos, or just a smidge under 4,000 pounds. But with all strengthening, the convertible is significantly heavier. So imagine the power of this engine to be able to pull this 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Oh, let's climb in and get slightly out of the wind and have a quick look around the interior and then carry on with the trivia. Now, this is really nice. It's very opulent indeed. As I mentioned earlier, this is a hand-built car, completely bespoke. You could have any colour combination you want, and this purple and cream combination really suits the big heavy shape of the car. And it carries on. It's got the purple maroon leather on the dash top. You've got it on the gear gaiter down here and the gear knob itself, and you've got it in the carpets, and then on the piping around the cream leather seats. And these seats, these are just wonderful. They're a combination of armchair in a gentleman's club and bucket seat. They're beautifully supportive and very soft. They're also heated, of course, which goes without saying. Now, if we do a little walk around the interior, as we always do, we'll start with the door and look at this beautiful, just stunning bird's eye. I'm going to say bird's eye maple. I don't actually know. I'm looking at the pattern in the wood and think it probably is bird's eye maple. And it's inlaid, marquetried with this gold or lighter wood strip, which looks kind of gold from a distance. And then you have big chrome door handles. The door card itself is just a massive slab of leather, and then perforated leather here as well. It's just so many details. And of course, you've got electric door mirrors mounted here, little switch there, little tiny door pull, and your 4-way electric seat control here, same for the passenger as well, so you can get your ideal sitting position with ease. And this steering wheel is massive. It looks I'm going to say it looks like an early 90s Range Rover steering wheel. The big square slab just is very reminiscent of that. It may actually be, I'll come to that in a moment actually. For a 1990s wheel, it's really buttony. You've got a lot of buttons. You've got 5 buttons on and off, and then resume, set acceleration and coast for your cruise control on the steering wheel itself. And you've got your 2 horn buttons. You must need the ignition on for that. We'll try that again in a moment. And then we come to the dashboard itself. This is really reminiscent of bespoke hand-built cars of Britain. Going back a long time, even today they're kind of similar to this in that, first of all, you've got this huge wad of padded leather just taking over the entire top of the dashboard. Then you've got a big slab of wood. And rather than in like a mass market car, something boring and ordinary like a BMW or an Audi, which has got one big binnacle on the instruments then contained within that one cluster. Everything's separate. Got a separate speedo, got a separate rev counter, separate oil pressure gauge, separate oil temperature gauge, separate water temperature gauge. And then, hang on, I'm going to have to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 little kind of centimetre wide round lights, warning lights, all as an individual item that someone's had to drill the hole out of and then polish the edge of that circle to get it smooth and then varnish around. The construction hours are just insane, but it does give it a very old-fashioned look as well, a very traditional look. And then kind of partially hidden by the wheel itself, we've got the electric switch for the electric roof, and I think the back windows drop with that same switch. Then you've got your rotating headlight switch below that, and a dashboard dimmer switch as well. And hidden below that, you've actually got a little air vent right down low, so keep your knees cool in the summertime. And this main centre area here, you think this big chunk of real estate would contain something significant or useful, but really it's just given over to 2 sort of okay size air vents and 3 little round dials, the clock, the fuel gauge, which is very important in this car, and the battery voltmeter. It seems like a bit of a waste, but at the same time, if you've got that much space, do it however you want, whatever. Now, below that, and this big chunky, bear in mind the gearbox in this car was originally a 3-speed Chrysler Torque Flight, and that's a big gearbox. So this centre console is really wide. It's virtually as wide as a chair in a smaller car. You've got, and I believe this is original, an Alpine CD shuttle changer in a standard DIN head unit. That was really an expensive head unit back in the day. And then kind of blocked off by the gear shifter, you've got your climate controls. You can reach the fan speed and the temperature on either end quite easily. Not dual zone, I notice. But the recirculate, demist, other sort of smaller controls are actually quite hard to reach behind the gear knob. And below that in another panel, which looks vaguely familiar again, I'll again come to that in a moment, you've got your electric window switches left and right, heated seat buttons left and right, front and rear fogs, and then demist for the rear window and the front window. This has got heated front windscreen like on a Mondeo. And grasping this gear knob, this is chunky. I can barely get my hand all the way around it, and I've not got small hands. This is a big thing. This is a dual mode, standard and sport mode. Click to activate, and then we have a big ashtray, and I'm going to call this a cigar lighter because of the car we're in. All wood covered, wood capped. Now push this button here, a big cubby hole, and this is quite a useful find. It's got twin fillers. I don't know if it's twin tanks as well, but there's a filler cap on either side, and these are little electric buttons here. Push that to trigger that and open your fuel filler, and one for the boot as well. Now over on the passenger side, we have a tea shelf, although it's quite low, so you'd only have a standard sized mug. Maybe a tin mug would fit on there, but it is padded, so you don't want to spill anything or put anything very hot on there, because it may scald the leather. You don't want to leave marks on there. Leaving a teacup ring on your leather, that'd be very bad form indeed. You don't want to do that. And below that, we do have, I was going to say we do have a glove box, but we don't have a glove box. Also, we don't have a passenger airbag. The steering wheel is an SRS airbag fitted device, but that would appear to be the only one in the car. Now looking at this big header bar here, at the top of the windscreen, it's all Alcantara covered, which is very soft. I guess it helps with cutting down reflections and things. We've got 2 also, is it Alcantara? I think it is Alcantara, covered sun visors. The left hand one has got a illuminated mirror, and the right hand one has got an important notice for your safety. This vehicle has a driver airbag supplemental restraint system. Bear in mind, early to mid-90s, this was very exciting stuff. Now in the back, I won't try and get in there, it's quite small. You've got 2 tiny bucket seats, which are extremely buckety indeed, and a pair of centre-mounted 3-point harnesses, and a couple of loudspeakers. I've acquired the key, let's try the horn test. I can't decide if that's regal or silly. Now bearing in mind Aston Martin's position in sort of popular culture and the prestige, and there's just general awareness of the company. It's easy to forget how small of an operation they actually are. They really are a very little company. And so, in keeping with Aston's before and since, although this was the first car built completely under Ford's new ownership of the company, there are lots of things which come from other vehicles. For example, this is a General Motors steering column. The climate controls are from a Jaguar, and I'm pretty sure these door handles and seat controls are as well. Ford have come up with these little round buttons, which I remember from Scorpios at the same time as this, and this little panel here I think is a Ford panel as well. And this mirror switch, 100% is Ford. And outside the car as well, there's some very clever repurposing of other manufacturers' lighting on the front and back of the car. If you look at the headlights, they're from Audi 200, and the tail lights, I've never realised this until today, they're from a Scirocco. And these mirrors are from a Citroën CX. Now, one thing I haven't done is the exhaust test. I can't take it for a drive today, but I can certainly start it up and let you have a listen to it. That really is a unique sound, isn't it? That's nothing else. You can't mistake it for anything apart from an Aston Martin V8. When they first launched the work service package, if you wanted one, you would order your Virage Volante with work service package from your dealer. Aston Martin would then build you a Virage Volante. They would drive it off the production line, round the back of their factory and back in the back door into the work service department, where they would then strip the newly built car and add the wider bodies, the 14-inch brake discs, the bigger wheels, etc, etc. And they did this for the first 22 cars. But after that they realised this was a bit silly, and they decided to bring the conversion into the production line itself, and the next 26, in fact the only 26 more that they built, were built on the production line, which this car was. At which point you could also choose whether to have the full 6.3 conversion or go with what they called the cosmetic package, which was the body and wheels and brakes only, as was the case in this car, because frankly not everyone needs 500 horsepower. The car's terrifying enough with 330. You don't need that extra bit of fear in every situation. If you just want to enjoy the look and appearance of John Heffernan and Ken Greenlee's styling and design, then yeah, you don't need a 6.3. This car is currently for sale with Stone Cold Classics in Kent. Please check out the link in the description below and check out their amazing stock. Now, although part of me is very disappointed I didn't get to take this out for a drive today, another part of me is actually quite relieved I didn't have the opportunity to damage it in any way either, because this thing is an absolute beast of a car. Well, the visibility is quite good, so manoeuvring isn't too hard, but I just didn't want to take the chance of a 330 horsepower rear-wheel drive, no traction control, no stability control, in the wet the day before Christmas. Yeah, I'm kind of glad just to have sat in it and enjoyed it that much today. And I hope you've enjoyed it as well. And if you have, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, and have a great Christmas, everyone.